Lightspeed Spanish, podcast number 9 for early intermediate, and this is the personal A. Hola, buenos días.
Hola, uy, buenos días, Gordon. Ah, bueno.
No he comido.
Ah, pero en Inglaterra... Buenas tardes ya, en Inglaterra. Buenos días, Gordon.
Hablamos en español. Buenos días. ¿Qué tal?
Oh, muy bien. ¿Y tú?
Muy bien, muy bien, muy bien. Sí.
Me alegro mucho, Gordon.
Gracias. Okay, so the personal A. Now, some of you might be watching this thinking, I have no idea what they are talking about. The personal A, what is it? Some of you may have come across it. Or as we talk, some of you may actually recognize what it is you've been seeing in Spanish texts when you've been reading them or listening to Spanish people talking and thinking, well, that's why it's there. Okay, how do we start? In Spanish, when Spanish people are talking about an interaction that happens between one person and another, okay? When they're referring to that interaction, they are obliged to put in the letter A, the personal A. It doesn't translate into English.
The personal A is put before the person who receives the action.
Okay.
Not the person who performs, but the person who receives the action.
Okay. So, we'll give you some examples in a moment, but it doesn't translate into English.
No.
Okay? So, let me give you a very basic sentence. I see John. Okay? Now in English that's I see John. In Spanish it's I see to John. Okay? And the to is the A. Now, you'll hear Spanish people sometimes, when, particularly if they've got a basic level of English, they will use the word to. Yeah? They'll say, yes, I see to John, quite often, because for them it has to be in that sentence. Okay, so how does it work? How would the sentence I see John be in Spanish, Cynthia?
Veo a John.
So veo a John. Okay, why? Why does this personal A have to be used? Well, the way I like to look at it, the way I explain it, is it's a mark of respect.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a mark of respect, and it's showing respect that this person who's having an action done to them is a person and not a half brick. Okay? Now, people need the personal A, and pets that have human names, typically. Yeah?
Pets that are in contact with people.
With people, yeah.
No squirrels in the street or
Not wild animals.
cockroaches, no.
Not wild animals.
Pets.
Pets. And basically because we personalise pets, we make them human, and so they demand respect. Yeah. They demand respect. Animals, we want respect. Okay. So, that's why you say, I see our dog. For example, how would that be?
Veo a nuestro perro.
Okay. So, veo a nuestro perro. So, I see. In English, you can't hear it, but I see to, or I see at our dog. It's a little bit weird. It's one of these situations where, because we don't have it in English, it sometimes takes a while to get yourself used to it. And it's very common for Spanish students of Spanish, to miss that in a sentence. It's very common. So don't worry too much about it, but you must be aware of it. Because if you're listening to Spanish people using it and you don't know why they're putting it in, it causes confusion. Okay, now there are some incidences where you don't use it. Okay? And that's where, for example, if you're just giving information about people who are in your life, yeah, just giving information like, I have 3 brothers, then what would you say?
Tengo 3 hermanos.
Okay. So you wouldn't need to say, tengo a 3 hermanos.
No.
Okay? The noise you can hear are the council workers outside cutting bits of stone. Okay.
Working hard as usual.
Working hard. So we've come off the break now. We've got 10 minutes. So, where were we? Yeah. So you wouldn't say, I have tengo a tres hermanos. That doesn't mean that that sentence doesn't exist. It does, but we're going to talk about that in another podcast. For now, we just want you to get the main idea of how this works. Similarly, another verb that you tend not to...
I. With I, there is, there are. We never use personal e.
Okay.
There are 3 students.
Mm-hmm.
Hay 3 estudiantes.
So, not I a, no.
No.
Hay 3 estudiantes. Also, if, for example, if you are looking for somebody, just a general thing that you might be saying, I'm looking for a plumber. Okay, you're not talking about somebody specific, you're just talking about a kind of a profession, a person who's of a profession. Then you wouldn't typically use the personal there. You would say, busco un fontanero. Yeah?
Sí.
The difference is, if you had a plumber and he was called Jimmy, yeah, and you were looking for Jimmy, the plumber, then you would say, busco a Jimmy, el fontanero, which is different. It becomes very personal, yeah. So really it's in aspects of sort of where it's not personal that you wouldn't use it.
You can also think in terms of, when do I need to show respect?
Mm-hmm.
Am I talking about a specific person that I know, or somebody else that I know knows? For example, if I'm talking about Gordon's sister, I would need to show respect, even though, for example, I don't know her.
You
maybe
haven't met her, yeah.
I haven't met her. Or is it a general person that I don't really know? I don't need to show respect, generally, I'm saying. So you can think in terms of, do I need to show respect or not?
Yeah, okay.
Because
That
it
makes
becomes
sense.
personal, no?
Yeah.
If I use a, then it's more personal than if I don't use a,
Yeah, okay.
for example.
So it really boils down to respect.
Mhm.
Now expect that when you start to speak Spanish, expect 2 things to happen. One is that sometimes you'll miss it. But when you get corrected by your teacher or by perhaps a Spanish person who you're talking with, you'll understand why they're saying no, ah, yeah? And sometimes you'll put it in where you don't need it. And that is always the case. You'll overdo it as well. It's called hypercorrection. And so you don't worry, somebody will put you right. The Spanish people, when you're trying to speak to them in Spanish, they respect that and they really appreciate it. So they will always try to help you. I've always found Spanish people will help you with, if you've said the word wrong, they'll put you right, they'll help you, but always in a nice way. Yeah?
In doubt, stick it in.
Yeah, yeah.
Just one really, I'd say, the opposite of everything we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've just said if you don't need to show respect if it's somebody, a general person that you don't know, except when you're using everybody or nobody. In that case, and it couldn't be more general than that,
Mm-hmm.
you do need personal A. And it's
Sure.
like opposite to all the rules that they give you.
Yeah.
So if I want to say I'm looking for everybody, it would be busco a todos.
Yeah. Or I don't see anyone.
No veo a nadie. And that's
Okay.
odd, isn't it? That's
Yeah.
odd that you need the personal A for the biggest group
Sure.
of people.
However,
I suppose because that includes family and friends.
yeah.
So there you are.
And however, nobody said it was going to be easy or straightforward. But that's the fun of learning a language, learning the idiosyncrasies of the language. Yeah. Bueno, for just a little finish, maybe 30 seconds or so, see if we can fit this into a conversation.
Okay,
Eh,
you start.
Entonces,
Oh, okay. Gordon, ¿has visitado Madrid?
sí, he visitado Madrid.
Y cuando has visitado Madrid, ¿has visitado a mis padres?
Sí, siempre visito a tus padres.
Mm.
Siempre. Y a veces visito los parques o visito los bares, pero normalmente visito a tu familia.
Sí, yo también visito a mi familia, a mis padres, a mis tíos, a mis primos,
Sí, a todos, ¿no?
sí, a todos.
Sí. Okay, so that's it basically in a nutshell. We will come back to it and you will hear us use it all the time. It happens in conversation, okay? So listen out for it. Entonces, nos vamos y nos vemos.
Adiós.
Adiós.